Welcome to the WordyGirl Entertainment Podcast. I am your writer-in-chief, Rosalind Jackson. I am a lover of words, and that love led me to a passion for writing. And what's the next best thing to writing? Talking about writing. So kick back and join me for mind-blowing chats about writing, covering everything from screenplays to novels to poetry, from nonfiction books to songwriting, and much more. This week's episode is with screenwriter Meagan Daine. Meagan Daine was born and raised in East Texas, where she escaped at age 17 to become an ESL teacher, a development associate at an immigration law firm, a private investigator, and finally a writer. Her first feature film, West of Redemption, starring Billy Zane, premiered at the Seattle International Film Festival in May 2015 and has won awards including Best Dramatic Feature and Audience Favorite at festivals across the country. Her television drama pilot, Law of the River, was a finalist in the 2017 International Screenwriting Association's Fast Track Fellowship. And her pilot, Gone Town, earned her a finalist position in the 2016 Women in Film Blacklist Fellowship. Her stage plays have been performed at the Road Theater Company, Greenway Court Theater Company, Stay Awake Theater, the Last Frontier Theater Conference, and the Etna Katz Theater Festival, among others. Most recently, Meagan wrote 3 episodes of the sci-fi thriller anthology-style web series Threads from New Form Digital, a joint venture of Ron Howard, Brian Grazer, and Discovery Communications. She has also worked as a showrunner's assistant on BET's The Quad, and also as producer's assistant on Marvel's The Punisher and Empire. As a disclaimer, at the time of this interview, Meagan was a writer's assistant on BET's Games People Play. Games People Play has been renewed for a second season, where Meagan is now a staff writer. Now let's get into the interview. Welcome to the WordyGirl Entertainment Podcast. Today I am speaking with Meagan Daine. Meagan is a showrunner's assistant. Welcome, Meagan.
Thanks, Roz. Happy to be here.
Thank you for agreeing to do this. I really appreciate it. So let's jump right in and tell me, when did you know you wanted to be a writer and what made you want to be a writer?
That's a great question. I have been writing my entire life from as the age of being able to hold a crayon. I have been writing stories. My first publication was in the newspaper when I was 5 years old. I wrote a story about an upside-down butterfly that got published in our newspaper.
Oh, wow.
So I was always doing it, but I grew up in a small conservative town in Texas, and you don't really consider the arts to be a career pursuit. They are a hobby. So it took me quite a long time to come around to the idea of pursuing writing as a career. And actually, it was only because I failed to get into the graduate schools that I wanted to get into that I ended up in a sort of last-minute graduate program for professional writing. And that was at USC. And so when I was at USC for grad school, that's when I first began thinking of writing as a career.
Okay, that sounds really good. Now, you have a coveted job as a showrunner's assistant.
Yes.
And what are your duties? Everybody wants to know, what does a showrunner's assistant do?
That's an interesting question as well. It very much depends on the show and the showrunner or showrunners, as in this case, what they have going on in their lives and what their sort of management style is. So it can be as simple as scheduling meetings, rolling calls, the type of basic assistant work that people do. Or you may be giving notes on scripts. You may be sort of liaising with the department heads or with the cast. On The Quad, I worked as a showrunner's assistant, and I helped to produce the after show, which aired on BET.com. So it can be just really anything from day to day. And that's one of the things that makes the job really interesting, is that you never know what it's going to be.
Okay. Sounds interesting. And let's see. What would you say your favorite genre is to write?
To write?
Yes.
Oh, that's interesting. Drama. Yeah,
Drama.
I mean, drama is definitely my favorite, but to be specific, I like character-driven dramas that have an element of crime to them.
I do too.
Yeah.
Those are the juicy ones.
Oh, yeah. You got to have some kind of crime in there. Somebody's got to die. Otherwise, what are we watching for?
Right. And what is your writing process? Like when you sit down, you get an idea, what's your process to get started and also like rewriting and things like that, like your whole process?
I am a machine. The first thing I do when I get up every morning, I get up at 6:30 in the morning and I get my coffee and I sit down and I start writing. And it doesn't matter if I have an idea or not. It doesn't matter if I feel inspired or not. I write until I have to go to work. If I don't have to go to work, then I usually knock off at about like 12 and I'll like go work out or something, have lunch, and then I keep going in the afternoon. So the rewriting process is the same. I know what I have to do for the day and I just keep going for as many hours as I can. And then eventually maybe I get to a stopping place like in the later afternoon and I feel like, okay, that's it. I call it a day.
Wow. I need to be like Meagan because that is
no, you don't.
Amazing. That is discipline.
No, it's a grind for sure. But on the other hand, I truly love the process of writing a script.
Yes.
So that's why it doesn't really matter if I feel inspired or not. I start doing it and I just enjoy that writing dialogue or, creating characters or whatever. So that's what keeps me going.
What would you say is your strongest area of writing?
Structure.
Structure? Okay. Yeah, a lot of people struggle with structure.
Yeah. That kind of goes back to me saying that I'm kind of like a machine. And it's one of the reasons actually why I was drawn to TV.
Okay.
That certain technical aspects of writing I'm really, really good at. And I'm not so good at things like coming up with brilliant concepts.
Okay.
So that lends itself well to being like a staff writer where you essentially are given an idea and you're given characters and you're given a scenario and they say, okay, this is exactly what you need to write and all you have to do is execute, right?
Right.
I mean, that sounds simple. Obviously, it's more complicated than that. But,
right.
But yeah, television is much more technical than other forms of writing, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. Not to say that feature writing is easy, but television seems to be, there's like so many different little layers and, it's just like so many little pieces that you got to put together and then the time crunch.
That's true too. Yeah, you definitely have to be able to work fast.
What are some of your favorite writers and why?
Couple of my favorite writers would be Vince Gilligan and Peter Gould. I think it's Gould. Is it Gould? Peter Gould?
I think so.
I think it's Gould. I'm not sure how you pronounce his name, but I love Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul both. Particularly, I never thought that I was going to be more into Better Call Saul, but I am particularly in this last season. I think what they are doing with the character of Kim Wexler is absolutely fascinating. I love it. Female writers, one of my favorite female writers is Veena Sud. She created The Killing. Okay. And I think she is just really fantastic at creating very tough female leads that are not necessarily likable characters. It's difficult for people to sort of explore this idea of having a lead character who is female and is sort of an anti-hero.
Right,
and I think she does that really well.
Okay. I love anti-heroes.
Yeah, what's your favorite?
My favorite was House of Cards.
Oh, yeah, that's another great example. Yeah. Yes, I mean, like Claire Underwood, they both are, but, Claire, again, as the female lead, she's absolutely despicable, but she's fascinating, right? You cannot stop watching her.
Right. Although I wasn't happy with the final
I was going to say, you can't stop watching her until season 6. Right. And then you can turn it off. Yeah, that was kind of a bummer. But
yeah,
anyway.
I didn't understand where it was going and why they went there. I didn't get it.
Yeah, I mean, forces somewhat beyond their control, so
Yeah.
I get it. But yeah, it was kind of a disappointment.
Yeah.
But we'll just pretend that one didn't happen.
Yeah. We won't look at that one.
Yeah.
So, what are you watching right now on TV?
What am I watching? I've just finished the latest season of Better Call Saul. I'm working my way through Mr. Mercedes, which I love. David E. Kelley is another big favorite of mine.
Okay.
And I have my guilty pleasure. It's a comedy called Trailer Park Boys.
Oh, I've heard of that one.
Which is, very few people have ever heard of it. I've only met 2 people who have ever seen this show, and I think it's brilliant, comedically brilliant. It's ridiculous. It's absurd. It's about rednecks in Canada, basically, and they go to jail at the end of every season. It's ridiculous, but it is funny as hell.
I have to check that out.
Yeah, it's on Netflix. Check it out. 12 seasons of this show.
Oh my goodness, that's a lot. And what was the last movie you saw?
I just recently saw The Green Book.
Oh, okay, I saw that one too. I like that.
Yeah, it was good. It was very charming and interesting too, because I had just maybe a year ago happened to pick up a Green Book at a bookstore, and I was like, oh, this is a really interesting thing that existed. I never knew about this, and so I was really looking forward to seeing the movie just for that historical aspect of it as well.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting topic. Yeah. Do you find that you watch TV more or go to the movies more?
TV.
Yeah.
But that's a homework thing. Although it's not actually a homework thing. It is. But the reality is that 9 times out of 10, if I go to see a movie, I feel disappointed. And in TV, 9 times out of 10, I watch a show and I love it.
That's interesting. Why do you think that is?
I honestly think that better content is being created in TV.
I do too. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that I just like serialized storytelling.
Yeah.
But really it's the better content. There's better characters, there's more diversity.
Right.
And you can get to know these characters over an extended period of time. It's not all about explosions and car chases and all that, which obviously there are great films out there, but it just feels like the industry is struggling.
Yeah. And it's like the characters in TV shows, they become your friends, like you're one of your friends that you know.
Yeah, oh man, I'm going to miss those Trailer Park Boys, I tell you that.
Well, I'm still in mourning over Scandal, so.
Oh yeah, I've only watched about a season of Scandal. It's very fast for me. I tend to like slower paced things.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why. Maybe I'm slow. Maybe I'm just tired at the end of a long day.
So what would you say is your favorite TV show of all time?
It's a show called Rectify. Speaking of slow shows, it was once described to me as it's like watching paint dry.
Oh, wow.
But then you realize that the painter is Picasso. My TV writer friend, Ed Horowitz, and feature writer, he's more of a feature writer actually, Ed Horowitz put it that way, and I thought that is exactly what it is, because you're watching this thing and you're like, this is incredibly slow, and yet I am fascinated. Ray McKinnon created that, also a brilliant writer.
And what would you say is your favorite movie of all time?
Favorite movie of all time might be American Beauty.
That's a good one.
Love that movie. Yeah. Also love Road to Perdition. Sam Mendes directed both of those, pretty sure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like just one of those movies that you could watch over and over again, and it just feels like as lush and interesting every single time.
Yeah. What advice would you give to aspiring writers?
Right. I know that's trite. But I don't really think there is any advice other than that. I mean, I guess it depends on where you want to go. For aspiring TV writers, I do recommend that people try to get a job in the television industry, and that is a whole nother subject. But I think that is a really, really great way to learn how to write TV is by, and as I've experienced, is by being in the room and seeing it done. It's very different from films. I don't feel that, like, if you want to be a feature writer, you can read scripts, and I think you can learn a tremendous amount from reading scripts. TV, you can also learn a tremendous amount reading TV scripts, but the process of creating a television script is so different. It's not something that happens by yourself in front of a computer. It's a collaborative effort, and I think that collaborative process is something that you have to experience and able to, in order to learn how to write that way.
Okay. Yeah, I do agree with you. You basically, it just boils down to you have to write.
Yeah.
I get on myself and I'm like, either you're going to write or you're not. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, and people always say it takes like 10 years or 10,000 hours, I think it is, 10,000 hours to become good at something. And I wish that had not been true for me. I really thought it wasn't going to be. I thought I was so sure I was going to get this,
you
know, and get it fast because, oh, I'm so smart. I'm going to catch on, blah, blah, blah. But it took me that long to get to the point where I felt like, or where I know that I can hang, you know?
Right. Well, that's really great. And I thank you for taking the time to interview with me.
Well, it's my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
You are welcome. So, do you want to share like your social media with people, or do you want people to reach out to you? Or
I'm the worst on social media. I don't even know what my handles are, to be honest with you. I don't. Fuck, I should have this, right? It would be a good advertising thing.
Well, it's okay, because I do find that like some writers are like totally not into it. And you're probably not into it because you actually write.
Yeah. No, I mean, because between the writing and the job, it's like I just never have anything to say. At the end of the day, I'm all worded out. But yeah, shoot. I mean, let me see what my Twitter one is. Let me see if I can pull up my Twitter handle, because I do actually occasionally tweet.
Oh, okay. See, I'm not active on Twitter because I don't like Twitter.
I became active on Twitter when Donald Trump got elected, because suddenly it seemed to me to be a very good thing to be able to speak directly to the President of the United States. I had a few things that I wanted to say to this man.
If he didn't block you.
That's right. I'm sure he did.
Bless his heart.
All right. So, so my Twitter is @Meagan Daine.
Okay.
MEAGANDAINE.
Okay. Well, if you guys want to check out what Meagan is tweeting at the president, go check her out on Twitter. All right. Thank you for tuning in.
Thanks, Roz.
You're welcome.
Thanks for taking the time to tune in to the WordyGirl Entertainment Podcast. Don't forget to check out my blog at www.wordygirlent.com. That's WordyGirlent.com. You can also find me on Instagram and Twitter at WordyGirlENT, and on Facebook at www.facebook.com/WordyGirlENT. And always remember, it all begins with a single word. So what are you waiting for? Go write.